Mesechta Avoda zara daf lamed tes amud aleph, and we're going to go to start from lamed tes amud base, 3 lines on the bottom, and the words are chlashu shadak lasis v'seichen yain. Chlashu preservatives that the derech is to put in wine. The Mishnah says that it's amongst the things that are asa. Omer Chizkiah said lo
So you
shanu.
can't use the preservatives from a goy, you're saying?
Right, it's preservatives of a guy. Because if it's wine, it could be yain nesa. Omer Chizkiah said lo shanu. Ella only mkaina shedarkon. It's a derech of the people to put in wine or vinegar of a makmi yadua. That's only the derech. It's not a sure thing. They put another lavdafka. They put in wine, and sometimes they do, sometimes not. Avo b'yadua. But if it's a place where it's for sure that they place wine or vinegar, also no, you're not allowed to even have a no. Not just that it's asbachila, it's also asbachila. If it's the derech that it could be, then we say it's asbachila, but it's mutbana. In something we're going to say it's mutbana. But if it's a sure thing that they use the wine, then it's even asbana. How is it any different than the murias, the fatty part of the fish, the brine? The shori rabbanim where the rabbanim were matit bahano, you're allowed to have ano, and there for sure they used vinegar or wine. It says you want to hasam by murias. It's a whole different reason why it's mutbana. Because labudizuma, they're not using the wine for anything. It's just to take away the smell from the fish, so they use the wine to remove that smell. But the wine is going to waste. But over here, by the preservatives, it's coming to make it also sweet. As a dip. It's making it sweet. Rabbi Yochanan says even by the kvashim where you know for sure they're using wine or vinegar, nami, it's also mutbana. Like you want to maishna, why according to Rabbi Yochanan, he says by kvashim, by the preservatives where it's Avoda, they put in wine, everybody agrees that it's mutbana. By murias, you have a machlekes. They have meya de asa, that according to meya, he says it's going to be asmana. Why should murias be more severe than wine? You just explained by murias, the whole wine is going leibud, is going to waste. You're not even using the wine, versus by the preservatives, you're using the wine, and there you say it's going to be mutbana. And you want to hasam yediyah mamashay. The difference is by murias, by the brine. That's you're eating the brine. It's like a dip. You're using it as a dip. You take sushi and you put it into the orange mayonnaise, whatever. Okay, so they have a dip that you put it in. You're eating that dip. Here also, you're eating the dip. So therefore, it's going to be asbana because you're going to put it in your mouth. When it comes to preservatives, you just put it in there, but you're not taking the dip. It soaks. Yeah, it does. But you're not eating mamish. You're not taking a dip and putting it. Not of gam. He's saying by preservatives, you put it in, you take it out, you even wipe it up, and you eat it. You're right. It might absorb, but by the murias, it's mamish a dip. What do you do by a dip? You don't put the dip and you throw off the dip. You have the dip physically. That's why it's different. That's why we're going to say it's asbana. Now we're talking about taras trufa, that he cuts up the fish into pieces, or the brine. If you remember the brine, what kind of fatty brine is kosher? Only such brine that will create a fish called kilbis, which you cannot eat. So if there's a kilbis created from that brine that swims in it, then the brine you can eat, because only from kosher brine do you get the tray from the fish of kilbis to swim in it. And the taras tufa means, and if it was a cut, so if there was no fish, so if that brine didn't have such a fish, so not a goy, no, it's a goyish wine. That's why we say it's yainesa, sure. So here with taras tufa, here we're talking about something else. Here we're talking about the taras tufa. He takes a fish and he cuts it up into small pieces. So that's we're going to talk about soon. That, and with tzir shein badoga, and the brine that doesn't have that fish kilbis is swimming in it, then you know it's not good brine. So then the din is that it's asa. The taras tufa is talking about, if you remember, the fish called chilik. Chilik is a fish that at the beginning you don't see its scales and fins. Later on, when it grows, then you see the scales and
Basket
fins.
has pictures?
So we said, huh?
Do they have pictures?
I don't know. So he says over
There's
there.
a few fishes like this. There's a mackerel, a kingfish.
Oh, so he says there are others. So he says that
When you
this
take out the fish, the scales falls off.
falls off. That's a separate fish. We're going to learn about that fish too. So he says this fish, only a mumche could tell there's a difference. But when a guy takes a net and he grabs this fish, chilek, he's getting it with a whole bunch of fish that look similar. He's not going to know what's the difference. So when he takes those fish and he starts eating it, he might be eating treif from the fish. What is chilek? What I said till now is going to say it. This is the dag, the fish that's kosher, but you don't see at the beginning the scales and the fins. And the fins. So why is it asa? Because in it gets mixed in dagim tmeim. Well, it looks very similar to that fish. It's very hard to differentiate. That's why it's going to be asa.
Then it's not also for itself on its own.
Yeah, but you have to know which ones are which. They look very similar to the Talmudic fish. So we learned before in the previous blot that a mumche can tell the difference. That's can tell the difference. Maybe all the fish I name. It's one family. What's if he doesn't have that dog with meaning the scales and the fins while it's still young? But it's when it grows, it's going to have it. Then it's mutter achila because it's considered as scales and fins. Then he says there's another fish which is faket. Yes, loy achshav. There's a fish that right away, like you said, it has the skins and the fins and the scales while it's in the water. But in the future, right when he takes out the water, and it falls off when you take it out of the yam. Yoinakunas, vafunas, kisif, tiyos, va'achsif tiyos, va'tunas. Why? Because in the water there's the fins and scales, and in the Torah it says kol asher ein lo yisnap v'kaskeses ba'moyim. Only what kind of fish is teif? If in the water it doesn't have scales and fins. But here it does. It's only when you take it out of the water it falls out. And it doesn't have the scales and fins. It's kosher, correct? That's why I said we got to go to Bensi and buy the fish. Don't buy fish anywhere else. Rabbi Avo called out in Kisari and Kisaria. He says, I can't say kirvei dogim. And the inner parts of the fish, the fat part of the fish, the ubaron, and the eggs of the fish, nikoch nikol adam. You can buy anybody. You can buy from anybody, even from a guy, even though you can't tell it's Torah or not. It's a chazaka that you don't have any Talmudic fish in this city of plusa v'aspamia. So the Gemara kihadu Abai, like Abai had said, this is the name of a place. So those places where the water, there was only kosher fish swimming over there. They put the Rabbi Levi or put Ashgacha made a wall. That's only. No, I'm joking. And no, the Gemara will say because of the bed of the sea, it only allows such special fish that have fins and scales. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. This fish, which is in the city of Vav, Nahado, in the river of Vav, Shaya is Mutma Achila. Why? Because in that river you don't find Talmudic fish.
So if you say from this town, from this area,
you could take any fish.
All the roig is good.
All the fish is good.
All the roig is good also because some fish.
Any fish that don't have scales and fins will not exist over here. No, he's soon going to say, here, listen what it
eggs. You could eat eggs.
Of the fish.
From all the fishes.
Over there, that place, only from those, yeah. In fact, you want my time, what's the reason that these dogma are not made in the Nahar, in the city of Vav, what do you call it, Vav? If you're going to say, if you're going to say because there's current, very water forcefully running, So only fins and scales could fish that has fins and scales could last through those currents. Since these ptomatic fish, they don't have the spine, right? So in a place with the beduchta, the redifim mayim, in a place where the water is running very strong, like matzekai cannot exist. Like what about kachazina the koi? But we do see in places where there's strong currents of water, we see the ptomatic fish. Says Gemara, right? Okay, elam mishum dem lichamaya. Says Gemara, the reason why fish cannot exist there because the water is so salty. The high dark tummy, even less like kalfi beduchta, the melichamayim like matzekai. This ptomatic dog, since it doesn't have scales. So the salt gets to the fish, it cannot exist. The scales block the salt from really taking apart the fish. In fact, we see even in salty areas that you have tomatic fish in these salty areas. Says only because the minerals on the bottom of the bed of the sea, there that mineral that gives off into the water only allows those fish that have fins and scales to exist. So it says, but Ravina says, today, the Kashavche Bei Nahar Goizo, Nahar Gamda. But now that you have the different rivers pouring into the river above Asirei, it's also, because the other rivers have the Tamadik fish, and they'll bring in the Tamadik fish into the river above. Abaya said, Hai Chamar the Yama Shori. This Chamer of the Yam, you have a donkey fish. I don't know what it is, but it's called donkey fish. In the that's mutter.
It looks like a donkey.
Yeah. Tura the Yama also. And then you have a bullfish. There is a fish that looks like a bull.
Yeah.
So he says those are also. The siman is tamei. Whatever above the water is tamei, like a chamer. Tor is tor in the water. Tohe, whatever above the water, like a bull is shade is mutter. In the vasa, the bullfish is tamei. That's how we learn. That's the simon. Omer Ravashi. Ravashi had gesagt. Ravashi says Shvar Nuna Shari. Shvar Nuna is the fish called Shvar Nuna is mutter. Kedash Nuna Asi. But a Kedash Nuna is going to be Asi. These are two different types of fish. V'simanach. How are you going to know even which one is kosher? Because the one that says Kiddush is like Kodesh Lashem. Anything that's Kodesh Lashem, you're not allowed to touch. Ikadam, the others say Kvar Nuna, also. The Kvar Nuna is also the reverse. And what's the siman that you should remember? Kivrei Oivde Kechavim. Bagrub the Oivde Kechavim, the Kvar of the Oivde Kechavim, Tamei. So this is also Tamei. What? I don't know. No. Let me see. I'm looking on the bottom over here. It's Rabbeinu Chanano, the Shoinim. He doesn't bring anything for the Shulchan Aruch. Taisus Shams, Taisus Ri Biryana. No, I don't see it. About the other fish, he does bring down from the Pri Chodesh. Okay, so Rabbi Akiva Ikla. Rabbi Akiva once visited Leginzak, the place called Ginzak. They brought in front of him a fish which was similar to a Tamadik fish, which is called Chipusha. So they didn't know, could we eat the fish? So they asked him, is it kosher? He covered this fish with a keli, with a basket, and chazabei kalfei. And he took the basket and he started to shake it hard until the scales were seen on the walls of the basket. Rabbi Akiva said, "Yeah, the fish is good." Ravashi ikla letamduria. Ravashi once visited this place, Tamduria. They brought in front of him a fish which was similar to the fish called sluvcha, which is a tamadik fish. Nakte lahade yoima. He grabbed it and he waited till the sun was shining. He put it against the sun. And Chaza to have a beit simcha. He saw, oh, there's the scales over there. So Vishaya, he says, yeah, it's mutter. Ravashi ikla lahu asa. Ravashi once came to this specific place. And they brought him a fish which was similar to lishvar nuna. with shranun that we had before. Chapya b'mshichle, and they want to know, is it a kosher fish or not? Okay, Zog, you want chapya b'mshichle chivari. He took it and put it in a white shissel, a white basket, sort of like a white basket. Chazabei kalfe. He saw right away in the white basket, he was able to see because the scales are black. So he was able to see the scales. Vishaya, and he says, yeah, it's mutter. Rabba Bachana Ikla Akar de Agma. Rabba Bachana came to this place called Akar de Agma. Keribu Le Tzachanta. They brought him this fish called, like we called it, the chilik. Chilik is the fish that the scales, the fins and scales grow later. So they brought it to him. Shamilahu Gav de Havakarle Bate. So yeah, but he heard, he knew it was chilik is supposed to be kosher. But he heard that the Yid was calling it bate. I mean, the guy called it bate. Bate is the name of a Talmudic fish. Omar Rabba Bachana said to himself, hey, bate. I know the fish looks like a chilik, but he's calling this fish bate. Shmami no dava tami yesh izbei. He says, for sure there's something wrong with it. There's something tummy there. Lo yachmanei. He didn't want to eat from this fish. Letzaf ayin ba. In the morning, he looked at this fish. Ashkechbe, he found davatame, which was mixed with it. Karyan Avshei, so he said on himself the pasuk lo yeuna latzadik, that the Eibishter does make fall upon a tzaddik kolav and any sins. So lo yeuna latzadik kolav, that Hashem doesn't make fall.
It's only because of the guy.
Yeah.
So he has to take the guy.
Simona Milsi, yeah. Koiret shel chiltis, and the koiret of chiltis, that's some kind of a sharp, either fruit or vegetable. In fact, in one of my time, what's the reason that they asked this chiltis to buy from a guy? Mishum the mafskid leibis akina, because they cut it with their knives, and in their knives they have trefene Sachen. Right, and it's sharp, this vegetable, so it will pull out whatever is in the knife. Less went away. So whatever taste is coming out can be good, so it's mutter. Says because of the charifus, the sharp guy that is in the vegetable, it revived the shamnus, made it like fresh again. So that's why he says and it's also because the sharpness made the Easter be revived and taste good. After the Rabbi Levi have a common zap mechiltisa. The servant, the shamish or the servant of Rabbi Levi was selling chiltisa. Chiltisa is the sharp fruit or sharp vegetable. What we're talking about now. Rabbi Levi. When Rabbi Levi passed away, they came before Rabbi Yochanan. Could we buy from this Evet? Rabbi Levi is not around, but he passed away. Could we buy from his Evet? The Evet of a Talmud Chacham, he has the same koyach as the Talmud Chacham, and you're allowed to buy from him. The chiltis, and we don't have to worry that this Evet, who's a guy, used the Isidik knife. He knew the chumris. Rav Hunabah ben Yume zavent chelta mi anshe de veisei. Rav Hunabah ben Yume would buy tcheles from the wife of Rav Amram Chasida. Asla kamed Rav Yosef. He came before Rav Yosef and asked him, is this tcheles good? Because I bought it from the wife of Rav Amram.
What's the problem?
So maybe the tcheles, because in tcheles, you could have a tcheles there's a herb. It's called kala something. Kala. The Gemara will say it so. Is wool from the chilazon, from the dam chilazon, the blue wool. So you could get tricked because there were people. There was a special dye that was mamish exact. You couldn't even tell the difference between the dam chilazon and the dye that came from that herb. I can't. I'm gonna try to here. Let me see if it says over here. It was a Yikara Mitzias, but yes, Nutzevet Cheles Zoil Yosa, which is called Kala Ilan. There's a special dye that if you use it was mamish, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But it was a yikar metzias if you got it from the dam achilazin. It was worth a lot of money. Lo yahav biyodei, so he didn't know what to answer. Pogibei chonich hayota. He met with Chana the tailor. Amalei Yisanya Menolei Yosef the Ani. From where would he have an answer? I mean, he doesn't deal with these things. But I can answer you. With me, there was this story. The Zavna Tchelta. I talk about Tchelas from my tzitzis. From the wife of Rab Noya Achua, the Rab Chi Bar Abba, from the wife of Rab Chi Bar Abba's brother.
They were all religious people. No?
Yeah, and I went to Yisrael Masna. Could I trust this woman's tchelis? He says, I don't know. He came before Rabbi Yehuda of Gronya. Amali says, you from this time you need me. You're asking me a question. Like always, I had to come on to you. Now you're coming to me. So said Shmuel. Eishes Chava, Areyu Kechava. The wife of the Talmud Chacham has the same trust like the Talmud Chacham itself. We learned to this that the Rabbanim learned Eishes Chava, Areyu Kechava. Avdesh Chava, Areyu Kechava. Chava Shemeis. Talmud Chacham that passed away, Ishtu Banu, they base Areyim Bechazkasam. I also Bechazkes the trust of the Talmud Chacham. Till you there's shad that they were playing hanky panky, then it's no good. But as long as there's no shad, they're trustworthy. So too, if there was a chotzer where they sold chelas and it was mulsik b'kashus for so many years, it remains in its chazaka. And you're allowed to buy the chelas and the tzitzis, and you'll have to check after it. No, it could be. It came from Kol de Ilan, which is exactly the same, and it's very cheap. It's nothing. How about a wife of Amaretz that married a Talmud Chacham? A second marriage. Or the daughter of Amaretz.
Should be worse than the Avid.
Wait, because she's coming from a house of Amaretz. Maybe she has to go through the tests to know all the chumras. And it has to be done in front of two people, it says.
She's married to a Talmud Chacham.
No, she was originally married. No, she was originally married to Amaretz. So she has to go. It says, "Hamavakish li is chavetz tzarich lekabel alav divrei chaverus v'fnei shleish chaverim." It says you have to go through a rigor test. Here you have Amaretz. V'chem bita shel Amaretz shenis lechava. There was the daughter of Amaretz that married a Talmud Chacham. There's a famous story that there was a father who was Amaretz. He was running after the shop on a chutzpah. I gave you so much money. It's already almost a year. It's going to get from kein shidduch. He says, "Well, he's nicht kein Bas Talmud Chacham." He comes home. He heaped on Schlag in the air. He's beating him. Was bist nicht kein Bas Talmud Chacham? This verstanden was Talmud Chacham meant. Yeah. Anyway, here also, v'chein bita shel Amaretz shenis lechava sold to the boss of Amaretz that married a Talmud Chacham. V'chein avdei shel Amaretz shenim kelechava sold to the Eved of Amaretz that was sold to a chaver. Kulam tzigul lekabel divrei chaverus. They have to get that smicha in front of three chaverim to go through all the chumras once they reach the higher level. Aval eishes chaver shenis Amaretz. But a wife of a Talmud Chacham married now went downhill, married now Amaretz. Or the daughter of a Talmud Chacham now married Amaretz. And so too, the Eved of a Talmud Chacham now was sold to Amaretz. Because they already know. They know it well. Those are the words of Meir.
What are the divrei chaverus? What is it?
Chaveris, they tell you all the severities that come through the house of the Talmud Chacham, the shilas that came to, and they know it. Usually, a Rebbetzin Ushbal, who was the wife of Chaikin and Rabbi Ushbal, she would be able to answer really questions of Shabbos. She knew everything because so many shilas went through both, so through Rabbi Chaikin and through Rabbi Ushbal. So Rabbi Yehuda says. Once they go down, they get downgraded. They have to.
Here he says he's Mako.
You're right. Rabbi Yehuda says here too they have to go through the vigor test. There was a woman who was married to a Talmud Chacham. He was sick, and she would tie the tefillin on the hands. Others say here you see a woman could perform the mitzvah of tefillin. Others say no, because he would tie it. She would put on the tefillin for him. How could she put on the tefillin for him? Because it's a mitzvah as Margrama.
No, but he's doing
That's on his hand. What's the
So
problem?
what? But she's doing the mitzvah. She's doing the whole thing for him. She's doing the kasha and everything. Others say he did the kasha itself. Oh, so says Gemara. And then she got married to a Russia, a tax collector. And she would help him out with the taxes, write the notes, who he collected from, who he has to collect from. Al Yodei. So it says Gemara. Now she wants to marry a third time back to a Talmud Chacham. Will she have to relearn what she had learned from the first husband? Of course, while she's by the meiches, nobody's coming to her for any shilas. She listens to the husband. The husband's a Rosh Merusha. But let's say she divorced now the meiches, and now she's marrying again a Talmud Chacham. So does she have to go through it? So he says yes. Because she, listen,
She's married to him for 10, 20 years, and then
yeah. You don't want to stop being mechalik a year or not. That's it. She needs to go over it. Rav had said, every one of these four things, chavis, is forbidden with one seal in itself. Champag. We're soon going to say what it is. So it's b'chis mechad by chavis. Champag mutter b'chis mechad. But champag, we'll soon say what the acronym stands for. We're soon going to go through the acronym. Is mutter with one seal. Now chavis is cholav, milk, basa. That's the ches base. The yud is yayin, utchelis, and the blue wool. That's chavis. Yeah, asuna b'chis mechad. It's forbidden with one seal because hey, these are expensive items, and the guy he wants to exchange it and give him a false cheap garbage. So we have to be afraid that he's going to rip up these seals and put up a false seal. Chiltis, yeah. Now the other four, chiltis, murias, pas, ugvina, that's champag. Chiltis is, if you remember, is that vegetable that's sharp. Murias is the brine. Pas is bread. Gvina is cheese. One seal is enough. In fact, you want to pass. What are you worried about the bread? What is the guy going to do if you send a guy to take this bread to give it to another yid? What do you have to hear? It's talking about the yid is giving a guy as a shliach to bring it to another yid. Piece of bread. What is going to happen? What are you afraid? The guy is going to switch the bread for his own bread. He's going to know right away the difference if it's cold bread or warm bread. So what is he changing that the other yid is not going to realize? The chitim is, 1 minute. The chitim is the side. Now I made the idea. If you're saying he's going to switch wheat for barley bread, he's going to know right away. And if the umam is similar, and just you feel this is a little better, for this little better, he's not going to go play around with this seal and get in trouble for it. It's not worth it. So you say, oh, but when you're talking about cheese is good with one seal. We're not afraid that he's going to be bezayif, because that's part of champag. Or but cholav, milk, which is even cheaper, you consider it as for the expensive items. Not only Torah Messiah, he's not going to bother. It's milk is nothing. Milk, milk is even cheaper than gvina. So why did you say by cholav you need two seals? He might exchange. What is he going to exchange? If by gvina he's not going to exchange, which is more expensive, by cholav for sure he won't exchange. Apik cholav, take out cholav. It's not, the word is not cholav. In the ones that you only one chisim is enough. But rather put in a piece of a fish that and the fish is a tighter fish, so for that he might exchange it.
So therefore you need two.
Therefore, you need 2 simanim. In fact, you want a hainu basa. That's the same as basa. The fish and basa fall into the category of like.
So why is it in Cholov to
Says forget about cholov. Cholov doesn't make sense. You don't need.
Oh, you don't need.
Don't eat. It says makes no sense. Cholov is cheaper than gvina, and gvina said 1 seal is enough.
So, who's it,
So he says the ches is not going on cholov; it's going on chatichas dag, on a piece of fish. Rainbow siman. So that's meat. So there's 2 types of meat. There's fishy meat, and then there's flesh. Shmuel says beis asur b'chos mechad. He leaves out the chavis, the ches of cholav. He says just beis yutzaf. He's not arguing. The Mefarshim say, and therefore 1 seal is enough. Machag and mutar b'chos mechad. He also says both. 1 is enough. I'm sorry. By base, 1 seal is not enough. Base is bas yayin and what was the soft? I'll tell you tcheles. Yeah. So you want to but machag is mutar b'chos mechad. Machag is going to be with here. He says bas yayin tcheles asun b'chos mechad. Bas yayin and tcheles is going to be also with 1 seal. Murias, chiltas, gvina. With the murias, these are cheap items. Mutar b'chos mechad. 1 seal is enough. He's not going to go play around and be mezayif 1 chesed for nothing. There's no major difference. In fact, you want to lishmol. According to Shmuel, chatik has dog shem basimin hainu basa. It's mamish basa. Utei gavni basa le'aminan. And we don't say there's 2 types of basa. There's no need to mention it, so that's why Shmuel said leave out the ches. Because even if you don't learn its cholov, you learn its chatichas dog, it's still part of the same as basa. So what do we have to learn chatichas dog? That's why he leaves out the ches. Tanu Rabbanim gelernt ein loichin yamach and machag from the stores. Oh, he's going to go through it from the stores of a yid in Syria. What shouldn't you buy from the store of Syria? Lo yayim, lo murias, lo cholov, lo melech, sal kundris. You can't trust those Jews from Syria because they buy from the goyim. And these are things that are from, and you're not allowed to buy from a goy these things. And the storekeeper, so the storekeepers in Syria are choshud, and they're not makbid on the Easter of Lifnei Ibel Eisit Mirshel. Fazich Alein, they'll eat only kosher. Fayanim, they'll let them eat what's nish kosher. So only from those that know taka kashrus and are careful in kashrus, only from them you could buy. The kulam in sarech balabayis mutter. But if you are a guest by the owner of the store, he himself watches kashrus, so he would never feed you something that's not kosher. So the Gemara will say, Rabbi Shimon Levi, I'll bring you a right, Rabbi Shimon Levi. The Rabbi Shimon Levi, Shiger loy balabayis. If the balabayis sent a matana from his own house, Levesei to his friend's house, mutra, not from the store, from his own house, so you can be assured in his own house he only has kosher and you're allowed to eat it. But one of my timer, what's talking the reason that it's muta? Because balabayis loy shavik hetin v'achli surah. Balabayis, he's not gonna leave. He's not gonna start eating iser. And when he's sending a matana, he's sending from what he's eating. He's not sending from other stuff.
Business is business.
Yeah. How did the guy say it? Okay, I'm gonna say it later. Okay, Melech Salkundis and the salt of Salkundis. What am I? Melech Salkundis. What is this salt Salkundis? The salt of every baker of Rome, they eat it. And this salt has the innards of fish which are tummy, mixed in it. Melech Hakundis, the black melech is asa. Halavana muteres, but the white is muter. Rabbi Yehuda imet faket. Levana asura. Hashchayra muteres. But Levana is asa and the shchayra is muteres. Rabbi Yehuda ben Gamliel mishum Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel ima. Zoi v'zoi. Say Levana hashchayra asura is asa. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. The reason why, according to the one that says the white is asa, the white salt is asa, yes. Kirvei dogim is levanim, etmeim, mu'uram. He says because the inner parts of the fish are white. So nobody will be able to tell between the salt that he puts in to make it a bigger block. When he wants to sell, let's say, the brine or the inner parts of the fish, you put in salt, it can become bigger, heavier, right? So therefore, if it's mixed, it's going to be also. He says the kirvei dogim shchayim tmei morabba, because you have the in parts of the fish which are black mixed with the salt. He says zevazeh, meaning both categories of the side levanim, side the shchayim, are morabba. They're all mixed in it. Mishum Rabbi Chanin ben Gamliel, Rabbi Avoda said the name of Rabbi Chanin ben Gamliel. Zokin Echad, there was this elder goy, Hoy B'Shchuna Sena, that lived in our neighborhood. So Yamachlik Panah, that he would coat this salt b'shum and chaza with pig fat, and that's why he was asa. I think you said that at the beginning. So since he coated it with pig fat, that's why he was asa. So he already said. The Mishnah starts off. These are elu dvarim which is asurim. And but it's not asbana. It's only asbachil, and then he ends off again. Thinking about why he ending off, why he's saying the top of the lashon. What are you coming to exclude? So according to Chizkiah, he's coming to exclude the yadua, where we know for sure there was wine mixed in to this murias. Chizkiah says in such or into this preservative, and he says it's asbana. If you know for sure, Rabbi Yochanan who argues on Chizkiah. It comes to exclude the brine, the cheese of the place of the village called unyaki, of a goy. They teach us that it's also even bana ustama, and we find that this part of the Mishnah doesn't say any name. Before we had a machlekes, but here it doesn't say b'negei to the murias ugvinas of beis unyaki. Anybody arguing? So it's a Stam Mishnah, Kedas Ameya, that says that these two things are going to be even asbana. We could do. Time's up. I don't know.